we do have a small city that has assets.
Yes.
We have lots of assets. But we're having trouble getting those assets back up and running. The Phoenix Center is like the best example, right? We have an amphitheater with a parking structure that holds 7,000 people for, is it 7,000, something like that? For any given event outside in the summer. And it has been closed for
15 years or better.
15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just
See, the number one, right, an amphitheater, dead center in the city, they can bring 7,000 people to the downtown on any given day. You can even have winter events out there. But somehow we don't seem to be able to figure out how to get it back online.
Is it a structural problem?
Did you-
It's been condemned by the city under emergency management concerning under litigation.
Well, it's not.
It was
It's structurally sound.
That's true, but it's
It's
still,
structurally sound.
under, for legal purposes, it's still a condemned structure. But it's still going strong.
It was condemned
They
so they can
lost-
get
We
it
drive
torn
it there
down.
every day, so.
But they didn't. Yeah, it's the
they've-
elephant
they've-
in the room for us, isn't it?
they've lost 6 times in court attempting to demolish it.
How many slides you got?
I'm done.
So
We can talk now.
Here's one of the challenges to
it's in mediation right now.
We get bogged down on one thing, like the Phoenix Center, and we can't think about anything else that needs attention but the Phoenix Center. And I'm not saying ignore the Phoenix
No, it
Center,
gets swept under
but
the rug.
include that in the plan.
We don't
and
think
ship
about
away.
it.
Right.
Really? We waited till the end of the meeting to bring it up because we've already talked
Yeah,
about
we've
sidewalks.
already said we
already
don't
talked
talk about
the
it.
lights. We've already talked about the alley thoroughfare that what fell by the wayside. We've already talked
Okay,
about
so bring the Phoenix Center back to mind.
the circle. No, I'm not saying that I have the answer, and I'm sorry to bring it up because it really gets people all worked up. But if I were the mayor of the city or the city council, it would be very difficult for me to continue to have a blind eye to that. I've been actually talking to the community about having a rally to march on the Phoenix Center and demand that the city use the assets that it has. Or sell it.
I'm with you.
But if we get the perception that the city's safe and we get all these infrastructure things taken care of, then somebody
That's-
might go, hey, that's nice
Well,
town.
that is infrastructure though. It's social infrastructure. And we talk, you know, everyone was talking about how the income of Pontiac is so low, but we spend big money on social, like transportation, on social campus marches. That's okay. We were talking about the income and targeting the people of Pontiac that they don't have enough income to spend. But we also in November lost a $4.5 billion investment in transportation and for our region. And so we need to start thinking regionally about assets and infrastructure. And transportation is infrastructure. The Phoenix Center is infrastructure. A parking deck is infrastructure. So to not talk about those big elephants in the room, we're sort of missing the point.
We talked about that they're being woven into the overall structure
What-
that starts to address.
Well, what I heard from Dionne is that we need programming and things that draw people. And if you think about what Pontiac people actually engaged with historically downtown, it was the Phoenix Center. They saw a concert there. They had their graduation ceremonies there. So it's really the only emotional engagement that they have to this downtown.
Is the mayor and city council, they just don't want to talk about it? Is it just like, we're not going to talk about it?
It's in litigation. It's been in litigation.
With who? Who's the owner?
The owner of the buildings, they're called the Ottawa Towers, private ownership, has easement rights to the parking and attachments to the parking. They are connected to the public structure. When condemnation happened, there was a lawsuit filed to try and thwart demolition so that their easement rights could be protected. And so my perception is that if there's an admission by the city that yes, you're right, we were wrong, or something like that, that it then triggers that damages are allowed and the taxpayers of the city of Pontiac could be on the hook for triple damages of whatever lost revenue could be, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know all the detail, but trying to hear both sides, so it's almost like a stalemate.
But
to
there,
see
yeah,
what the
it's a stalemate.
legal system kind of forces upon whatever outcome. The private owners want to say, how can we maximize this for their own benefit? The cities want to say, how can we mitigate the damage? And so this purgatory has left this very large structure, which was, in many respects, poor urban design at the time, but now that we got it, let's make the most of it, in my personal opinion, but we are stymied from that ability because of these larger implications that are pending.
Yeah.
And then you throw a lot of time in the relationship to membership. So you've got all of these variables, and everyone's kind of playing chess a little bit, but like waiting to see. So that's like just the reality, and that's what we're all kind of right. And I think then also from a perspective, we spent the last year trying to get the mayor on board and support of this organization, and kind of trust. So then, how do we benefit that without? I don't know. It's just a difficult balance that we are all in right now.
Well, that was a great point that Monica made about the emotional connection.
Yes.
Pontiac Schools, we literally had our graduation ceremonies on there. So if you have very limited interactions with the downtown, it was Arts Beats and Eats, which left. It was a signature arts event downtown, or your high school graduation or something. If those were the few times that you intersected with downtown, both of those have been foreclosed from happening at the moment. So in your mind, you might think, because I don't know it, nothing's happening. So it's the perception. You made a really good point about that emotional connection.
We
Things
held.
that they connect with. They don't know that there's other things they can connect with in the meantime.
Yeah, and we held 2 open houses when it was going to be demolished, and we somehow were able to. We've not wanted to be with either party. We just wanted to be with the community and letting the community have a voice, and we do a lot of community things, and that seems to be the only thing about this downtown that causes something that they could see themselves engaging in the future.
There's still a huge disconnect between the mayor, council people, and the downtown. When we had the Consumers Energy coming in, putting new meters in, I desperately requested that it be done before the season ended, and they assured me it would be. And then when it wasn't done, the response from the city, the director of our DPW was, Karen, why is that a problem? Nobody shovels downtown anyhow. Why do you care that the asphalt is going to stay there till spring?
Because no one can walk downtown.
But I'm telling you, this is the attitude. This is the response. We are 10% of the downtown. That's how we are perceived. It's 10% of the city. The downtown is 10% of the city. We are a portion. We are not an economic development aspect of the city. We are not the force that's going to be driving the money to put the streetlights on and take care of the libraries, take care of all the infrastructure.
It's really interesting that this is your downtown and this is not a city space. The cities generally focus on their downtown, which is the major thoroughfare in the city, not the development drive. Glenn mentioned it. And then the neighborhoods follow that, but it seems like the neighborhoods are getting the attention and the typical downtown.
You drove far down our streets. We've got problems like this. If we filled them when they were this big,
They wouldn't be.
but we don't have the budget. Well, then let us know what we need, because like I said, we would have gotten a collection. We would have gone out there and taken care of those things. But we were told absolutely not. So then you watch.
Because you're not a city employee.
Right.
This evening has brought something really interesting to mind that I don't know why I didn't think of it before. But you mentioned the emotional connection. When you were talking about the concentric circles and the transient population that comes with it, the latest census estimates I saw is that citywide we are 56 rental population. But it occurs to me that the massive number of our residents in the half-mile, the mile, and the 5-mile radius, they have no emotional bond with this downtown. They know it's historic, but it's not historic for them per se that live in this 5-mile radius, because it's too many generations removed from when it was truly, all pistons firing, or, those, because it was probably a downtown designed and operated more exclusively for Caucasian residents of a certain income level, that they have long since moved. So there might be some, I'm not saying it doesn't exist at all, because I've heard it firsthand where people said, oh, I got my senior pictures taken there, or, and they're 60 years old. But in that 5-mile radius, there's not as much of that bond that you would see perhaps in Royal Oak. And obviously a lot of Royal Oak's downtown growth over recent decades isn't limited to their Royal Oak residents, but you still had a pretty core base of the residents saying, that's my downtown. That's a downtown that I've known my whole life, and even if I don't spend all my disposable income, I still feel a sense of pride of place and ownership.
I still think there's like a push and pull between the residents versus downtown. And I haven't just seen it in this community, but it was definitely there in Flint, it's definitely there in Royal Oak even, not as much so, but it's this, if resources are declining, like right after the recession, who's fighting for whatever resources are left? And so there tends to be, the central business district versus the neighborhoods, and that tends to be a fight that tends to play out in a lot of communities, at least in, Metro Detroit. So.
But you don't have leaders coming to our downtown, and you still don't have people understanding the budget that's necessary to secure what we have, make sure that our expenses don't exceed beyond what we need to do for maintenance. There is not that plan, that budget. We have contracts where they go, oh, well, yeah, the guy who does the snow plowing, he's doing a very good job, but maybe next year we'll get somebody else. I'm sorry. If somebody isn't doing their job and I'm paying them, I stop paying them. So there's a lot of common sense that you just kind of go, okay, I don't know politics that well, and I've never been in the government infrastructure, maybe I'm missing something.
I don't think we missing. I mean, it is common sense. It's common sense, but we as human beings seem to make things a little bit harder. It's just what I experienced in my life. Something that, a point that you made really made me think about something that I've seen in more southern communities, and not so much so up north, but Jim Crow, and how Jim Crow kept out a lot of people of color from Main Street, when you consider them Main Street,
It was intentional.
And some of the southern communities have said, I'm not participating because I remember some 40 years ago, I wasn't welcomed into those businesses. So I'm not participating. I don't know if that was so bad here in Michigan. I don't know, but I know Jim Crow did experience it. We experienced it.
I think it's just the opposite here, actually.
There was a lot of post-war FHA policies that were really discriminatory. So if you look, if you look at the demographics of Pontiac versus the demographics of Waterford, which actually experienced the post-war boom, a lot of the communities in Waterford are after World War II, and that's really where they experienced a lot of their growth. I mean, I think it's like 92% white in Waterford, and that's the community right next door.
And when did the highway go in? So you think about
The late
urban renewal policies.
It was
Those policies were just
intentional.
that, to separate communities. They were put in for those reasons, and they decimated a lot of communities. So
They did.
I know that's what happened in Chicago. There were highways that were put right in the middle of where there was a central business, there was a highly vibrant district, and they cut right through the highways cut right through those districts, and then those businesses are. And then redlining was a piece. I mean, that was what we could only live in certain areas. I mean, so I don't know if that was a problem in Michigan. I can always speak for it.
So I'm going to run before my parking meter gets me.
You have parking.
But I want to just read, this is a belief that I have, is I think that the biggest asset that the whole city of Pontiac has is affordable labor force. Okay, when you